we're going to do is first, I think Eric sent out the minutes to everybody from last meeting. Has everybody had a chance to look those over? Otherwise, I can share them here if you haven't seen them.
Yeah, I think we didn't get them to everyone until today. Sorry, everyone.
So at least you can see the meeting minutes right there. All right. So those are the meeting minutes from last time. If people haven't seen them, all in favor of the meeting minutes as presented, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. And then the agenda for this evening. You should have all had a chance to check that out already. All in favor of tonight's agenda, say aye.
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 Took care of that last meeting. So we do not need to do election of chair and secretary. So we're just going to go on to the Chase Bank sculpture. Any updates from that?
I do not have any updates yet, but I'm anticipating that April or May. She kind of told me spring. And since we're so early in March, I'm hoping that by the next meeting, if it can stay on the agenda, I should have something from Melissa.
Okay. Well, it definitely does seem to be a standing item. So we'll keep it on the agenda.
Hold up a minute, you guys. Who's Alyssa and what's your last name?
It's Melissa with an M.
Okay.
And it's Pullman, and she's the interim community development. We get an official title.
Just want to make sure we note that. Thank you.
Yep.
The next item.
Community development interim director.
All right. No, I look forward to talking about that next month as well. I don't know what we're going to do when it finally gets taken care of.
I did add the PDF tonight to the minutes from last month. So if you want to review what they presented to us already on your own time, everyone, you can reflect on that. That was from our November meeting. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have, Dad.
Thanks, Eric.
So the next item that I had is just the little library, and last time I was by there, it looked reasonably well stocked, and I know there were some issues with the path around there. but I don't know if they've taken care of that yet.
Has anyone walked by and saw if it was cleared from the big snowbank? I did ask for it to be done, so I'm hoping that they got to it with this warmer weather.
I think they did. I drive by it on my way to work, and I try to look as reasonably responsibly as I can as I'm driving. But yeah, it doesn't look like there's as big of a bank there anymore. And I don't know if that's just from snow melt or if they took care of it.
Okay, maybe a combination of, so. I still have one box of books in my office,
Okay,
so.
okay, so we should be okay for now, but at some point we may need to, as the weather gets nicer and that gets used more, we may need to do some type of donation drop off or something like that. The next item is the senior showcase for high school students. And again, that we started talking about this last fall when the art teacher from the high school stopped by to ask us to do something for graduating seniors. And I did invite Adam tonight. I don't know if he got a meeting link at all.
He did.
Okay.
He
Okay.
got an invite after you sent that, Larry. I got it off to him this afternoon with help from IT, so I know it should have went through.
Okay.
But if he reaches out to you, it did go, so.
Okay. And it didn't sound like he was. I mean, he just kind of said he would try to make the meeting, so he didn't say he was going to be here for sure.
Okay. If it helps, we just got word today that the mask mandate has been dropped and we can start to meet in person. So I'm anticipating, unless things change, our April 7th meeting should be able to be here at the community center. And since he's not on until May and June, we could still get him to come possibly to April.
Sure. So we could certainly see if he can make the April meeting. Just because I think it would be good to. I mean, I know he talked to us in the fall, but I think it would be good to kind of get more of his thoughts and insights in terms of what he thinks the students might be looking for, and see, dates that we were talking about might work for them.
Right. And just even getting the install ready, we'll probably need some input from him, like when the students can come in and getting the stuff up on the walls in addition to the reception.
Could some of it be coordinated via email so we could at least get a date on the calendar? Just a question.
Yeah, I think some of that can be taken care of by email. I mean, I can certainly email him and see what he thinks. And then what dates were we thinking about again?
He has, what I've assigned to him is May and June of 2022. So, Sunday, May 1st could be a good install day, if that's a possibility. And then, it would just be a matter of what day is he looking for and when is the community center open. I'm thinking either Monday through Thursday night or Saturday or Sunday afternoon. I would just have to look to see what's open once he selected something, or if any of the RAC members have a preference, certainly if we all can make a date, asking if they could make that.
Sure. And when we talk about a date, we're just talking about kind of like some type of reception where the students would be there. And is that what we're thinking?
Should we offer up May 7th and 14th since those are Saturdays? Does that seem reasonable, or do we want to look at a weeknight?
I have a question kind of related to that. We should probably, Eric, I think it's a good idea to maybe reach out to the teacher, to Adam via email. I'm wondering if this is maybe one of those situations where like a subcommittee might be beneficial, like if there's maybe 2 or 3 people who kind of want to take this on and run with it. Do you think it warrants that, Larry?
I think if there are a couple people that are interested in taking it on, I think that would be helpful.
I'm certainly more than willing to reach out to the teacher via email. Unless someone else wants to.
I've certainly done it a couple times, Karen, but I'd be happy to let you.
Has he gotten back to you, Larry?
I mean, he does respond.
Okay.
I think maybe Karen, if you could reach out to him and see what kind of date and time he's looking at, and maybe start with, hey, would you ever think, is it realistic May 7th or 14th before the students all leave in June? But that would mean that the week prior, that show would need to be up. And so he might have a better feel for that. And then I could start to look to see if the community center is open, but certainly an email conversation saying, hey, spring is like just around the corner. And if something doesn't get on, it won't happen. And if he doesn't want a reception, but just wants to show the artwork, I think that would even be nice to know.
Okay.
So, and the building is open, and it will probably start to be open even more if the students just want to come by like the other student shows have been. But we kind of did, I think he asked for some sort of recognition, and that to me is like a reception. But I know, I agree with Eric, if something doesn't get on the calendar, it's not going to happen because it'll just get away from us.
Right. Yeah, maybe if we push the some type of a deadline, just so we can make sure that this happens. Yeah, are you okay with that, Larry, if I try reaching out? Maybe if he gets more than one person?
Yeah, that's fine. Do you want to maybe copy me on the
Yeah, I'll
email?
copy you and Mary Kay, just so that you both are in the loop.
Okay, that's fine with me.
Okay.
I will, and again, it doesn't have to be held to my schedule for dates and availability. But I would say certainly May 14th is a day that I'm probably not going to be available.
Okay.
But again, you don't need me there to do a reception. So if that works better for him and the students, that should be fine.
We're probably competing with prom around that time of year too, right? So does anyone else want to be on the subcommittee with Karen and Larry?
And we don't have to do a subcommittee. It was just an idea. We've done something like that in the past. And maybe once we know more about what they're envisioning, and then we can move forward with that, maybe we can make some decisions at the April meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yep. And then especially if it's in person, maybe we can get him to come to the April meeting too. So
yeah.
So that would be good. I mean, I don't think it has to be a huge, like I think if no one else wants to join us, Karen and Mary Kay and I can probably figure out an event like this. So
he still may join the meeting at some point tonight too, so we might get more information in a little bit, right?
Possibly. Yep.
All right.
Okay, good. All right, Karen, fantastic. Thanks for taking care of that.
Yep.
And then we have a new person from the Community Services Commission that Lisa Rudolph had been filling that spot, but she is no longer. We have somebody named Brooke Nelson who I know was on the email list for the meeting stuff, but she's not here tonight, correct?
I'm not seeing her, but I'm thinking that's a no.
Okay. And then is Courtney here from the Friendship City. Did we?
I'm here.
All right, Courtney, do you have anything to?
No real big updates. Our group met last month and just chatted about updating the Horatia room art, and then also working on the display cabinet. We'll be displaying some ox carts. I think most of you heard the trip to Costa Rica got postponed due to the pandemic, so looking at doing 2023. And then the two items that could relate to this group in particular were we were taking a look at the Unity in the Community event for 2022. I don't believe we had a date yet, but I could definitely circle back with Paul and see. I think our hopes were to kind of get a little bit more detail for next month's meeting. And then just kind of a reminder for all commissions. I didn't know if it was worth mentioning here that we brought it up in our meeting that tomorrow is the last day that Richfield community members can fill out the Richfield Strategic Planning Survey. And that's just on the richfieldminnesota.gov website.
Anybody have any questions for Courtney? Great. Keep us updated with the Unity in the Community event, and certainly if that's something that we can participate in, we would certainly would look at that.
Sure, sounds good.
Thank you. Do we have any Transportation Commission liaison updates?
I had said that I would kind of start joining some of those meetings. Been chatting with the transportation, the city engineer. Is that who it is, Mary Kay?
Yep, Ben?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna attend the first couple and kind of see what the cadence is like, and if it makes sense to kind of show up, kind of a la carte, or show up to everyone. We'll just kind of figure that out along the way. But they didn't have one yesterday, this month, so next month will be the first one.
Thanks for volunteering to do that, Cole. So,
Yeah, I think it's a great, could be a great opportunity for us if there's some places where they're looking to do some public art with some of their transportation projects, then we can be involved in that discussion. Would be good.
I have one quick question, Cole. When I chatted with Ben, it sounded like he was going to keep you up to date. Like if there was something that they maybe thought, then you could attend that meeting since the meetings are back to back. But if something didn't really apply or they didn't need a meeting, he was also going to let you know that. Did that kind of come across from your conversations with him?
Yeah, I'd suggested that right away, but he'd mentioned that, he wasn't sure, like, he and the rest of that crew would know if something would be relevant or not. So I said I volunteered to just kind of just start going to the meetings for a few months and then kind of feel out what that's like.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Would you shoot him a note and just make sure that I get emails inviting me to those meetings?
Yes, I will. I'll copy you on it.
Thank you. I don't know if you talk to him regularly or not, but
When we get down to the announcements section, I can give you a report on the 494 thing. That I think is what you guys were interested in.
Thanks, Mary.
Okay. Then we started to talk about this a little bit at the meeting last month. But kind of the, what kind of things do we want to work on this year? Things that we've done in the past. Some of that was included in the minutes as well, and I've included a few items here. I'm not sure if I got everything that we've done in the past, or we want to do this year, but we can certainly talk about some items. And if I missed anything, or if there's something that people are dying to do, we can certainly add it to the list. And this isn't, whatever's decided on this at this meeting is not the end of the discussion. So if there are things that come up that people are like, hey, I thought about this, 2 months from now, they like, hey, this opportunity looks great, I think we should do that. We could certainly have that discussion then too. So, or if you leave here and suddenly you have a great idea, something that you think we should be working on, that's certainly something that we can bring up to in future meetings. So this is by no means a comprehensive list, although, there's quite a few items on here. We can always adjust things as we go forward. Does that make sense to everybody? So the first thing that I have on here is that we talked about a little bit already, is the senior showcase. And then that, with looking at, depending on what the teacher's input is, doing the installation in early May, and reception of some sort followed, closely after the installation. We are obviously definitely doing that. We also talked a bit about, we have 2 dates to do art in the park at the at Veterans Park at the farmers market. And I had it down, I couldn't remember if I have the right dates, June 4th and July 18th.
And actually, the correction is June 18th and July 16th. June 18th, July 16th. From 10 to 11:30 is the actual program, but there would be setup and cleanup.
So we are planning to participate in that in some fashion. In the past, Mary Kay's had rec staff there as well. So we haven't necessarily had to be there the whole time. Basically the way it works is that we sponsor these events, and Mary Kay and rec staff do a lot of the work. If we can show up and be there and help out, help out with the activities, help recruit kids into the event, recruit families in, depending on what we're doing. Those are all things that help make it successful, and they do seem to be, we've had some fairly popular events that we've done there too.
And I have one note on that. Eric has asked for one of the dates that he'd like to lead and do painting with a combination of jazz music, and maybe he can address that a little bit more.
Yeah, the idea, it wouldn't just be painting, it would be various coloring on various medias so that it, reaches all age groups of kids and families. But yeah, it would be like a jazzy art in the park with like a live jazz guitarist, essentially. So we'd use a little bit of our budget money, say maybe like $100 to hire a jazz musician to perform at the event, and then we have various coloring activities where we can color along to the jazzy groovy stuff that he's playing or she's playing. So yeah, it's something I've done as an educator in the past, and it would be really easy to do in that environment and to pull people in, and it could just be random. And even when the jazz musician's done playing, if they don't play for the full hour and a half, we can have some music playing on a Bluetooth speaker that's jazz music and keep it going.
Did you select a date for that, Eric, or give it any thought?
I'm cool with either of those dates. I guess it'd be cool to see who else might be interested in, working on that event together, and then
Decide.
we could select a date based on that.
Okay.
Does anyone have a preference of dates or want to be a part of the email conversations with jazz guitarist, etc.?
This is Janie. I would like to do that. I'm only available during the June date, though.
Yeah, let's do that then. June 18th.
Yeah, sounds good.
Do we need to make a motion for that or anything?
I think so.
Not for date selection.
No. But I think the dates were already set. So
I'm just going to assign June 18th to Eric and Janie.
Perfect.
Perfect.
I'll be out of town the 15th through 17th, but back that evening. So any last minute in-person planning that would need to happen, I wouldn't be around for, but that shouldn't be a thing.
So my only suggestion, and it sounds like it'd be fantastic. My only suggestion is just to talk to the farmers market coordinators too, because I know sometimes they bring in somebody to do music in the farmers market.
Yeah, and I think Mary Kay, you sent me the person to contact, right?
Yep. And now you have a date. So
I will reach out to her to make sure they don't have a musician during that time frame.
and I think we did that introduction already, and she said that wouldn't be a problem at all. So
Right.
now that you have the date with Janie, then that should be pretty easy. And her name was Bonnie Hannah Powers.
Perfect.
Fantastic. So then the other date's July 16th. And if people have an idea or want to help Mary Kay out and kind of take the lead on that, they're certainly welcome to do that. So,
Stephanie, and I think I kind of have an idea for July. I was thinking about, what about doing seed art? I feel like that's something that a lot of people are into.
That's awesome.
I think it's, something that folks from different ages can do. We just need glue and seeds, and I don't know if we can have some pre-printed, photos or little canvases or something like that. But I thought that would be kind of neat.
yeah.
I think that's a great idea, and I don't think it's anything that we've ever done before. So let's do it.
Yes.
Great idea.
It's like our own little state fair.
I don't know
Right?
if you guys can see these, and Stephanie, that is a great idea, but I did buy these little square canvases with pre-printed pictures on. And I don't know exactly that seeds would totally work, but isn't that the whole idea behind art? If you're ever at the community center, you can take a look at them, or they could literally just cover over them and do their own picture and cover it with seeds. So a combination, if they wanted to try to follow one, and do it kind of like a seed by number, or or just take the canvas and go right over the pre-printed of it. But there's like 6 different designs. I was just packing them all up. Like one's a bird cage. There's some flowers. This one's water and birds. And they're in my office. And I was just putting them under the rec bin today. And so Richfield Arts Commission, they were all just going to get labeled. So if that's something you were free to do on July 16th, I think I'd be happy to work and get the supplies for you.
Sure, that sounds great.
Fantastic. Thanks, Stephanie. I think seeds and farmers markets go together too. So I think it's a great tie-in with what else is going on there.
If you want to come up with a different name besides seed art, sometimes we've been known to have some, we got jazzy art, seed art. It could be the year of art, but we'll probably do some like combination promo flyer. So if both groups could send something in with their ideas, I'd be happy to get that out since the dates have already been selected. The brochure just came out and it's on page 31. I don't have that fancy way of doing it how Larry does, but if you go online, you guys got your big art splash, and along with calling all artists, and then Art the Park got the little below piece, but it's page 31 of the book that just went out.
Is that the latest community center or
Recreation Services Spring Summer 2022? Yep.
Okay, great.
I like both those ideas, you guys. That's great. That's what I'd love to see.
Well, and I think it's fantastic because it shows how great it is to have sort of newer people involved with the commission too, because we're doing things that we haven't done before. We've done the art in a park, but we haven't done it with music before, so I'm pretty excited about that piece of it. And I think that will be a huge draw to get people in to check it out, what's going on too. And then the seed art thing is a great idea because, again, as I think Karen mentioned, it's not something that we've done before. So I think, a chance to try new things and see how they work is great. I thank both Eric and Stephanie for taking the leads on these. The next thing that we've talked about and we've done in the past, I believe we're going to do again this year, is the Crossroads Panorama event. And I think we did have a date on that. Was that August 20th? I think that's what we talked about at the last meeting anyway.
Yeah, it's August 20th, I believe. It's a Saturday from 2:30 to 6:30. And it's the extravaganza. We have people come and the band will play, and different artists come out, and whether it's spoken word or, we're going to probably we're partnering with also Harriet Tubman agency. And they will be coming out and we'll be doing short skits, vignettes, role play also as a part of that. And we'll have we're still in the planning stages because we're still, we know we're going to have one band, but we're looking at possibly the Sounds of Blackness too. Because when I talked to Gary, our hopes is to have them. Are you guys familiar with the Sounds of Blackness? Okay. So yeah. So we're still planning this, and this will be our 3rd year. the extravaganza, so we hope it gets bigger and bigger every year. We hope that it'll be, a little bit more people and Karen will get to sing. Karen got cut off.
Barring any thunderstorms.
Yes, no stuff. But yeah, we're looking for a great time this year. I'm excited, so and I'm hoping that the Arts Commission can be support and help also. That's what I'm hoping. I appreciate all the people that helped last time. That was great. You guys that because we need that support and help. Are there any questions anybody may have with that?
Well, and just to clarify, the help that we provided was just volunteer help. We were there to help sell raffle tickets for the various raffle prizes that were there, and also just general help and support with stage stuff, whatever they needed. So
and it is a fundraiser because we try to do something a year. We're still working on things, with grants and different things, but it is a fundraiser, because of course you guys know we're located in the hub, 66 in, for those that don't know, in Nicollet and Lindale, and we do have a building that we're maintaining every month. So it's we've been there probably about 4.5 years, I believe. It's the old Blockbusters building. So some people don't know that it's the old Blockbusters. We turned it into a theater. So, and we're still working on it. In fact, I got out, and Eric has been helping, and we're trying to clean up stuff now, especially from the play. And we just did that play last year. So hopefully this will be a great event for inviting your friends. And we want to have a food truck this time. And that's what we're working on, a food truck. And if you guys have some ideas or anything, just let me know what you want to do, or if you have something that you know of that you can participate within there, that's fine. I'm open. Thank you again for the opportunity to share.
Thanks, Joyce. It should be a great event. Looking forward to it, and obviously let us know if there's anything else that we can do to help out to make it successful. Let us know too.
Yeah. Okay.
I did get an email from the teacher. He said he'd been having trouble trying to log into the meeting. So I think he gave up, unfortunately. But they said I'll send him an email. I'll just let him know that we'll be reaching out to him. Oh, which is unfortunate. I'm not a huge fan of WebEx. So I'm glad that we can meet in person next month. Everybody tell all your friends to continue to do what they're supposed to be doing in terms of getting vaccines and wearing masks and all that, so we can continue to meet in person. The next item that we had sort of talked about is doing some type of poetry event in September, and again, kind of for everybody, but also especially for Stephanie and Cole. So when they did the rebuilds for Portland Avenue and 66th Street, there was street or sidewalk poetry installed in those, and we were a big part of selecting the poets that went into that sidewalk poetry. And then a point a couple of years ago, we did at least one public event, where we did a recognition for the poets. They came out to the band shell, and they read their poetry and had friends and family there. And it was a pretty fun and successful event. And we've been trying to replicate it. And of course, then COVID came along. So kind of sideline that. We did do an online thing for the poets that were interested. We had them record it and shared that. But we're hoping, again, we were going to do something last year, and we got kind of a mixed response from poets about whether they were going to show up or not. So we're thinking that we would do an event this year with inviting both poets who hadn't had a chance to present and poets that had done, so kind of everybody, and doing a larger event, recognition for all the poets that had had their poetry, the sidewalk poetry installed. So that's what we were thinking anyway. And again, it's not something that we have to do. We can decide if that's something that we're still interested in doing at this point. So I'm certainly looking for people's input around that. So is this something that people think that we still want to do?
I'm wondering if we're getting too far past when their poems were selected. This past year, it was already a little difficult to try and get people to commit to an event, and we ended up having to cancel the event because of low attendance, etc. So I'm wondering if we're just getting too far past that specific poetry selection process. Just throwing that out there.
I thought it was great in the past. So I think it was the first time I was involved in it. It was very powerful. I don't know, this last time that something kind of fell, right? It just didn't work out. But I just, I thought it was a good opportunity for people to have that opportunity to express their gifts in that poetry and then to recite. That was really great. So I don't know if it, can continue, but it was a great event when I was involved the first time.
I think also we should look at the fact that if we want to do Penn Fest, those events would both be in September. And as Mary Kay always likes to remind us, don't overload ourselves and take on a lot more than we need to. So maybe if it's a toss up between the two, maybe we could find some way to combine them like we have in the past and highlight the poetry at Penn Fest. So that might be an option.
I think that's a great idea because I thought Penn Fest was really successful last year. We had a lot of really positive experiences out there. So if we could just either invite poets there or make like a book of poems that people could read at Penn Fest, something like that, I think that would be cool.
Just make sure that the book isn't too light so it doesn't blow away, right? That was a windy day.
Yeah, that was a windy day.
He's going to work on those weights.
Nice,
it was great. We got a lot of interest in RAC and a lot of good feedback.
Yeah, we'll have weights by then, I promise.
I have the bricks, Janie. So remember that you have a lot. I'm not saying all of them, but some of the poems are also framed that are along 66 and along Portland. And if the poet didn't take them, we have had displays of them before, and those are still here at the community center in storage. So if you could some way highlight them on the table or take them out of the frames. But if anyone is interested in that, I'm happy to set up a time if you want to see them and determine what can be done with them, if they want to be used or dismantled, and what to do with the frames. But they are taking up storage here at the community center and would be available if someone wanted to explore something with them.
So what I'm hearing is from people is instead of doing 2 events in September, doing something at PennFest where we could display the poems in some fashion, maybe even and then maybe you have an additional activity or not for kids there. Maybe we could have a couple of poets, if they were interested, come out and read their poets or do a performance at PennFest as well. Is that kind of what I'm hearing from people?
Are you talking about doing some kind of reading?
Well, so I think what we had talked about is doing 2 events in September, one just for the poets, and then doing PennFest. And I think it sounds like there's interest more in sort of combining them in some way. So instead of doing 2 events, we could do PennFest, but have the poetry displayed there in some fashion at our table, and then if we had a couple of poets that were willing to come out, they could read their poems at PennFest as well.
I think
So
that's a good idea.
trying to see if I'm sort of capturing what people's thoughts are around that.
Yeah, I think that encapsulates everything, and it could be cool to have like a kid-friendly little poetry invention type activity, where they could, or parents could help the kid fill in the blank of like a popular poem, like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, but instead of star being there, it's just blank. So kids could experiment with poetry too, if that's going to be our focus at PennFest. That could be kind of fun and a really cheap thing we could do. We just need copies. As long as they don't blow away too much.
Everything needs to be weighted down. Yes. And we need to have some type of cover because not only was it windy, but that sun was awfully bright. There wasn't a lot of shade. I mean, I like the idea. I like Karen and as Mary Kay's point in the past, I don't necessarily see, I don't think we get a lot if we overburden ourselves with events either. So I'm certainly open to striking to not doing a separate poetry event, but doing something at PennFest that would encapsulate the past work, showcase some of the poetry work, and maybe having some poets come out. So I don't know if we need to make a motion on that, or if we just can kind of just say this is what we're doing. But I would certainly entertain a motion if someone wants to make one.
I'll make a motion to combine the poetry event and PennFest in the capacity we just discussed.
Does anyone want to second that?
I second.
Favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. Great. And then the next item that we did last year, and it sounded like there was some interest in doing again this year, is the Dogs Take the Stage event. And again, I know we talked about this kind of again for Stephanie and Cole. This grew out of the mortuary over on Nielsen Mortuary over on Portland in 66 does a trunk or treat in October. And we were there 1 year, and it was fairly popular. It was actually, we had to send Mary Kay and Mary out to get more candy. But I think as you just pointed out, there wasn't a lot of like associating RAC with being at the event. And there wasn't a lot of people that were like, hey, we saw the Arts Commission at the event. The only thing people remembered is that we got a bunch of candy. So it didn't really, in terms of, well, it was fun. And Chelsea, who's not on the commission anymore, I think really liked doing it. She was also pointed out that, you know, it didn't really do much for us in terms of community outreach stuff. So last year we did a separate event, but connected to the trunk or treat, or help take place. It took place on the same day and near the same area. And the dogs take the stage, where dogs and their owners showed up in their little costume contests and kind of rated the costumes, things like that. So it sounded like people really enjoyed that event. And I know there was some interest in doing that again this year. So does anybody have any comments about that or thoughts on that?
I guess the people of Richfield spoke at the event and afterward, and then the collaborators on leading the trunk or treat event spoke as well as city council. I think Dogs Take the Stage was a big hit, and we should do it again. It was honestly like more fun than I expected. When that dog walked across the stage to the Frozen song, and the owners were like sprinkling confetti, like glitter confetti in the air. I that was it. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I think that's something that I think people were pretty excited about the opportunity to do again this year. So yes, I would say that's something that we will have on our. Do we have a date for Dogs Take the Stage yet?
October 15th.
So back up. Do we know what the date was for PennFest yet? Have they decided that?
That one I don't know, but I can get it by the time the minutes go out.
Okay. It's usually like mid-September. I think it was sometime around the 17th or whatever that Sunday was, mid-September last year. So I would imagine it'll be somewhere time around there.
And what time did we do that at? Was it around 4? No,
that was a day. That was like a 1 to 4 or 1 to 5 kind of thing.
Was it that early?
Yeah.
I don't remember the time. Oh yeah, for PennFest. I mean, for Dogs Take.
Oh, for the dogs. Oh yeah. There was like 4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah, I'm looking back at my calendar here. Yeah, 5:30. I have on my calendar 5:30 to 7:30.
Okay, good. So we definitely going to do the Dogs Take the Stage again. A new opportunity that we talked about a little bit, and I think Karen's mentioned it a couple of times, is the park playground openings, and I think that came a little bit out of they redid they put in a bunch of very nice adaptive equipment in the playground at Augsburg Park, and had a big opening for that. And I know the city is doing 2 parks this year. Is it a Christian and Fairmont Park? Is that right?
I think so. I don't know.
So I think we were thinking that if there's a way that we could be at the opening and maybe have something, some type of activity for families there, we'd like to be a part of that. Is that kind of, Karen, is that kind of what you were thinking?
Yeah, that's, I think, kind of the idea that we floated around. And I think, I feel like the last we were waiting on were dates and whether that was something that Amy wanted us to be involved in or felt like we could help out with that. That might be a Mary Kay question.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of us.
Sorry, I had to, I heard a Mary Kay question and I'm trying to hold 2 meetings at once, but tell me what I missed and I'll try to answer it because
we were talking about the park playground openings at Christian and is it Fairmont? Is that the other one? And just I think if there's a way for us to be there and to make sense for us to be at the park openings, I think we'd like to be there, and you know, with some type of activity for kids and families. Because
Right.
I know the one at we weren't at Augsburg Park, but it was a pretty successful park opening, very popular. So I think if we can be at these 2 things, I think that'd be great for RAC and for the kids and families.
I just tried texting Amy during the meeting because I had a meeting with her. She just came back on Monday from family leave. And so she just sent me a face. I'm sure it's, if not bedtime, pretty darn close or maybe past it. I will get an answer from her, but it was Christian and Fremont that was supposed to be done. And my understanding is that since they were so successful, especially at the Augsburg one, that maybe if we knew the dates, RAC could have a table there with their tablecloth, interact with the people coming at the playground and maybe share either some little activity or at least your brochures or flyers. You'd just like to be part of the celebration. Is that a correct message?
Yes.
Okay. I will, if I can catch her tomorrow, otherwise I will put it on, and if it can be back on the April agenda, that would be great.
Great. Thanks, Mary Kay. And then I just have a sort of the ongoing activities that we've done. And some of these are things that sort of pop up as well from time to time. But you know, the things like the little library, I assume that's something that we want to continue to do. It's not a ton of work, it's just basically stopping by to make sure it's stocked, and we may have to do some type of donation depending on usage this summer for that. And then the electrical box wraps, and that's sort of an opportunity. That's something that sort of comes to us from time to time. And again, it's we've really been more involved just in selecting the art that they're going to use to wrap the boxes. And I don't even know how many. I know there's some thing where they can only wrap city-owned electrical boxes. So I'm not even sure how many more that would be in the city. But I think that's been enjoyable. I mean, I think it's been nice to see those go up and to have some input in that.
I can tell you, Larry, that I reached out to Scott in Public Works, and they will be doing 2, hopefully in 2022, and RAC will be part of that process again.
Okay.
So, and they have, we tried one that Hennepin County owns, and they were successful with that. And so I think it doesn't necessarily, the first couple that we did They did try it on city-owned utility boxes, and now they might be venturing out a little bit. So I believe you guys can look for 2 electrical boxes in 2022 to be part of the process. And I would probably say late summer, maybe early fall, those would come through.
And then I've just, one of our other ongoing things is that kind of comes to us off and on is the giving input into public art. Kind of like we're talking about the Chase Bank sculpture. We've had different community developments, either apartments or businesses that are going up in the city who want to do some type of artwork as part on their property, usually come to us for some type of input around that. But it's hard to predict when that's going to happen. It's not necessarily a monthly thing for us. So I would assume that that's something that we're going to continue to do this year. Although I don't know if there's anything slated right now beyond the Chase Bank. So I don't know if you've heard anything, Mary Kay, or Mary, if you know of any new developments that are going to be coming within the next year that might have some public art opportunities.
I think that Mary, could there be a new pocket park down by Home Depot and the new apartment buildings? Possibly.
I believe so. Yeah, there's land set aside for that.
So something maybe, was it Three Rivers? I know that little pocket park went in there, maybe some sort of sculpture around there. I can try to find out more too, but nothing has come across my desk yet. And that usually comes directly from community development. But I never say never, because I see the building going on and I'm thinking it's only gonna increase. So
Yeah, we saw like an agreement of who's going to take care of the park, but I didn't see anything about deciding what was going to go into it.
okay.
There may be some of the more opportunities like that this year. We just have to kind of wait and see right now. And then something else that sort of Mary Kay is taking on, but would, I think, as mentioned in the past, would happily hand off to somebody else if they were interested, is the art displays in both City Hall and at the community center. So we recruit artists, or if artists approach us, so we do displays. Do we have a display case at City Hall that we maintain and look for artists to put their work in, and then we also display work in the mainly not just the conference room in the community center, but also in the hallways there. So and Mary Kay has kind of been the point person for that for several years. But if something that somebody else wanted to take on, Mary Kay may be willing to give that up. Or if you know artists that want to have their work displayed, ideally local, although they don't necessarily have to be local artists, but I think that would be the first preference. You can certainly get them connected with Mary Kay too.
Did anything come of the Jimmy Longoria request from last month, Mary Kay?
We have not moved forward on that yet. It's a matter of he sent a rendering and had 8 photos there, or 8 of his works there. And we're trying to figure out, I just had the conversation with Amy today to update her. I believe Jimmy was going to send us an option that he used at another place with his work that they also couldn't drill or put holes into the wall. And so we were waiting back for that, and we haven't received it yet. Internally, we talked about that the display cases would be open to him, but one is currently filled with police chief hats. You heard Courtney talk about Friendship City was changing theirs out. There's one, I believe, with the history of the municipal center or the old building. And then as much as I would appreciate someone assisting with the art displays, I can tell you for the first time that the municipal center is filled for 2022. And so it would be tough for me or for the Arts Commission, I think, to have the right to say that one art is better than the other. And so I said it would be very difficult for me to contact one of the artists that have a signed contract with us to display their work only to replace it with another artist. So if the rack display case could be out of the running for that, I would appreciate it. So I'm going to follow up with Jimmy. He certainly has the rendering of the 8 prints that he would like, or the 8 works to go up. And it's just a matter of how can that wall support it safely and not injure anyone, or the value of them is pretty high at $5,000 a piece. And so a little bit of liability issues there that may need to be addressed. But we're still in the talking stages and how that would look. And in fairness, Amy just came back on Monday, and tomorrow she has a meeting with Katie. So I gave her some other forms that the city of Golden Valley and the city of Bloomington use. And then I sent her the contracts that we currently use for the Arts Commission as to how we could address that. And this artwork would be, quote, on loan. And I don't quite understand what the term on loan means. Is that indefinitely? Is it for a set period like we currently work with our artist? And then he had a clause in there that the artwork could be purchased. And that artwork would probably run about, I think, $40,000. And so we know that there isn't money for that at all. So then what do those terms of on loan mean? And how long, if we're investing in some sort of hanging system, how long is that loan for? So a few more details need to be worked out, but Amy is meeting with the city manager, Katie, tomorrow, and I'm sure it will come up in their conversation. And I don't know, Mary, if it's been talked about at the council.
No,
Yeah.
when I've had one-on-one check-ins with the city manager, she said pretty much what you said, that you're trying to figure out how to hang it and that kind of stuff.
Right. So, but as it moves forward, and maybe once I hear back from Jimmy how the other place hung them without drilling into a wall, we might have a little bit more success or be able to move forward a little bit with it. But we were kind of ready to move, and then some other things kind of came into play that needed the attention of, yeah. So we'll be back on it, and we just addressed it today, and I would bet Amy and Katie will be talking about that tomorrow.
Okay, great, Mary Kay. And then are we set with, do we need artists for the community center right now? I mean, I know we're talking about having the students for May and June, but other than that, are we looking for people?
Right now I can say, and so this might explain the role a little bit more. So next Saturday, March 12th, I have the next artist coming in at the community center. So if any member of RAC wanted to see how that process works, she'll be coming at 2 o'clock. And so that it's not only getting the artist, but then kind of welcoming them and maybe following up with a note when they leave, thanking them for sharing their artwork. But we're doing pretty well filling the space. I kind of originally had asked Jimmy if he wanted to be here. And then we just started getting like lots of requests. People are seeing the ad and they're coming forward. So so if that's of interest to anyone, feel free to reach out to me, give me a holler. If you want to see it in as it works, join me next Saturday, March 12th here at the community center. You can meet the artist. I can give you a little tour and show you the hanging system here. Otherwise, I'll just keep plugging along. And if something changes or you have an interest later on, just keep us posted.
What's the date again, Mary Kay, that the artist is coming?
Saturday, March 12th. Her name is Jessica, and she is meeting me at 2 o'clock here at the community center.
Great. All right, great. Thanks, Mary Kay.
Yep.
So as everyone can see, we do
I'm
have.
sorry, I was on mute. Mary Kay, I'd be willing to come.
You'd like to meet Jessica on
Yeah.
Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on over. I'll make the introduction and then I can show you kind of some of the process and you can meet her and I can show you the calendars that I've set up and who we have. But yeah, anytime. I mean, if that's of importance to anyone and you just want to meet the artist and thank them personally, I can always share, take down and put updates as part of my staff report. And then you'll know like, oh, maybe someone can come by because I thank them, but I'm really not the Arts Commission. So yeah, you can see it. Maybe I'll start to share that more. And then if someone's available, thanking them in person is just as nice as sending a note. And it probably means more coming from you guys than it does from me. So that'd be great, Joyce. I'd love to have you or anyone else who wants to come by on March 12th.
And that's 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. Yep.
Okay.
And you never know how long they take. I kind of schedule about 2 hours, but you certainly wouldn't need to stay that long. You could come at 2 and meet her and decide how long you want to stay.
Okay. All right.
Fantastic. I just say, so you can see we have a busy year. So I'm hoping, Cole and Stephanie, I'm hoping that this is kind of what you had in mind when you joined the commission, because this is sort of what we do. And I think some people don't always necessarily know before they hop on. But we are open to other ideas and opportunities that come up. So if you had other things in mind when you were applying to be on the commission in terms of things you'd like to see in the city, we are certainly open to that. There's certainly opportunities to take the lead on some activities too that we do. So feel free to share things. This is an ongoing discussion. These are things that we're going to be doing, but that's not the only thing that we necessarily have to do. Does anybody have any other thoughts on kind of our activities for the year before we move on to staff updates? Okay, hearing none. Mary Kay and Mary, if you have anything that you want to share going on at the city or any staff updates.
Go ahead, Mary. if you have anything.
Okay, I have one. Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for coming to present for the Arts Commission back in November. Appreciated that at the City Council meeting. And then the second thing is I just put in the chat box, they're going through the visual quality assurance for the revamping of 494. And they've narrowed it down to a certain kind of design that they're going to put like on the sides of bridges and on noise walls and railings and that kind of stuff. And so now they're getting specific, like what kinds of things should you have on the Chicago Avenue pedestrian bridge, or what should be at the intersection of Portland Avenue and that kind of stuff. And their survey is open through March 10th. And I had mentioned a couple times like, hey, we could do sidewalk poetry on your pedestrian bridges or things like that. But if you're interested in getting down to the nitty gritty of where to put stuff, this survey is where you can get the input. And they will do stuff like railings for, or MnDOT will pay for railings and surfaces on noise walls and bridges and retaining walls and stuff. If it's public art, then state law says the city has to pay for it. But we can suggest it, and then they'll say, hey, there was a lot of people in the public that thought there should be public art here, and that'll enter that whole process. So that survey's open through March 10th. I went to the listening session and there are a lot of really good ideas from people. So if you want to add yours to it, that'd be great.
And maybe spread the word to everyone you know in Richfield so that they can take the survey too.
Yeah, that would be helpful to get as much input as we can by March 10th. All right, that's all I have.
The only thing that I do have, I was texting Amy just to see if she was available. And I specifically asked her about the playgrounds, and she gave me an update, and she said, I did talk with the installer yesterday, and he's going to install Fremont first and then Christian when the ground is completely thawed. She hasn't done anything special for the neighborhood park playground openings other than announce it in the community. So I think the Augsburg one was an exception to the rule. And because of the whole adaptability feature and it being like the biggest and bestest in the city or surrounding communities, they did a huge unveiling, but it maybe sounds like the smaller ones, they announce it. So maybe she would be open if we picked a day and just said we'd be over there at the new playground and did an activity and had a table set up, or I'm not sure. I don't think they're to the scale that you guys might have saw at the Augsburg one. So, but if that's something of interest, I think certainly we could approach her on that, but they're not installed yet. And the first one will be Fremont first, was her response. And otherwise, my staff update has been addressed throughout the meeting, and those that volunteered to do some things, don't hesitate to reach out to me, Stephanie, if you know where I can get you seeds, or you see the seeds. I'm either happy to meet you in the community to make that purchase, or go online. If you send me the link, I'll be happy to get that stuff ordered. That's kind of my role as staff liaison. So yeah, don't hesitate. I'm working part-time, but try to be available to you guys. I do have one concern that on April 7th, I wanted to let you know that in addition to the dual meeting tonight between dance and the Arts Commission, I also have dance dress rehearsal at the Masonic Home on April 7th. And so I'll have to get back to you how that, either the dress rehearsal is going to be covered, or how the Arts Commission meeting because I can't unfortunately be in 2 places at one time. So, so I'll keep you posted on that. I'll let Karen and Larry know. And if we're in person, certainly the community center would be open. And if I can't be there, I will let you know who will be there. So. But that's all that I had. So this is,
Thanks.
you guys, it is a great schedule. I love hearing the conversations and people stepping up and coming up with ideas. And Karen, you're right. I'd be the first one to say those back-to-back September events are a lot. So hats off to you guys for combining them and making it work for you. So.
Thanks, Mary Kay. And we can certainly, maybe talk next meeting to see if we want to talk with Amy about doing something at at least one of the park openings. So we can talk more about that at the next meeting.
Super. And I can try to have a conversation with her prior to that as well, just to kind of plant the seed, get some feedback and see. So I love new ideas. So.
Yeah, I certainly, and I think I'm not the only one that, as much as we can do things that both benefit the community and get our name out there too, I'm in favor of. I'm a big PR person, so get Rex out there, have people see us doing stuff is good. All right, any announcements or anything before we end this evening? All right, hearing none. I will email the teacher tonight, Karen, and just let them know that you're going to follow up with the stuff, and then hopefully we'll be meeting in person on April 7th.
Thanks, Larry.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Good meeting. We'll see everybody on the 7th.